This is not, don't say anything you don't want to.
Well, we gonna turn it off. Correct.
Did you see what I wrote on?
We'll have to have approval there. She doesn't have anything. I just have. Be done.
Is he already doing something?
Is he breathing?
That's a good one. Yeah, he's wanting to know what you're saying. Oh, yeah.
Good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and call the August 14th meeting to order. And at this time, we will have Mayor Eddie DeArmond from Greenville to say our pledge, following by invocation by Mayor Brock Thomas from Princeton.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you for this wonderful day, dear Lord. Thank you for blessing us with the opportunity to be here, giving us safe travel, dear Lord, and just keeping us safe. I thank you for everyone that's been here, Lord, to be gathered together, dear Lord, to do business that you have brought us here to do. I just pray that you keep us safe going back here, Lord, and always keep us in your will. In the name of prayer.
Thank you. Next is the approval of the minutes. They were in the packet and previously emailed out. Get a motion? Thank you. Can we get a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And next we have our financial report from Mayor Kevin Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have, we should be at 8.33% of the budget. We are currently at 3.95% of the budget. So that's a really good number. We're at 3% of our revenue received, and we've expended the 3.95%. So we're well under budget currently. So does anybody have any questions? If not, that would be the financials that we're going to present today.
Okay. Thank you. Can we get a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Our federal and state reports. First, we have Morgan Alvey with Senator Mitch McConnell's office.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Senate is, well, Congress as a whole is in August recess right now. But a couple of things that I'll mention that happened right before they recessed. The Senate passed its version of the NDAA, the National Defense Reauthorization Act, which I know is always of interest to this area, given Fort Campbell. There were several Fort Campbell priorities in there that the senator was able to secure. And along those same lines, the military construction VA appropriations bill was referred from committee, which also had several items related to Fort Campbell that the senator was able to secure. If anyone is interested in seeing more details about those projects, please let me know and I'd be happy to share information on those. As I mentioned, the Senate is in August recess right now, but when they come back in after Labor Day, there is a long list of items, most notably the government funding, which runs out at the end of September. So it will be a busy September and the end of the rest of the year. As always, if there's any way our office can be of help, please don't hesitate to reach out. I know I've heard from quite a few people in terms of grant letters of support. So if you have any of those, please keep those coming and happy to get you connected with our DC office on those. As always, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Corey Elder with Congressman Comer's office.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here on behalf of Congressman Comer. Last week, Congressman Comer traveled through several of the counties, met with a lot of the mayors and judge executives in the region, including in Lyon County and Hopkins County, and I'm missing one, but it was several of the areas that Congressman Comer was in. Caldwell County, there we go. Through the Oversight Committee, Congressman Comer led a markup going through several pieces of legislation, one that improves cybersecurity readiness through our government, and then also some that deal with regulatory overreach of the current administration, as well as ways to bring in spending and make sure that there's more controls over the mass amount of tax dollars being spent in DC without a bunch of oversight. Congressman Comer really is looking forward to being out in the district more during this August recess. And whenever he gets back to DC, there is, as Morgan said, a lot that they have to finish before the end of the year. But he is really focused on the recess and looks forward to being out and meeting with the constituents in the communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Representative Chris Freeland.
Thank you. I think I'm the only legislator that didn't get invited to go to NCSL. But I'm glad to be here today. I'd rather be here than Indianapolis anyway. But right now, Frankfurt is actually, there is some money in the state, which is a rarity for Kentucky, but we've done a good job of being stewards of the taxpayer dollars. And at this point, our last meeting, the budget director Hicks from the governor's office gave us a report in the budget reserve trust fund right now for Kentucky, which was usually, as you remember, probably in the negatives and hovering around that. But right now there's close to $4 billion there. So it's about 20% of what it takes to run the government. So that's really good. And that money hopefully will be used for some big projects coming up this next year. I know we've talked about House Bill 9, which it could be a game changer for some of our local communities. Also, the River and Rail Task Force, I serve on that. There's going to be some significant money put to that. I know the Edible River Port is one that would benefit from that. And I'm sure there's some negatives, but I won't mention those today. But no, everything's going pretty good so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Alex Caudle with the governor's office.
Good afternoon, everybody. Great to be back with you all today. Looking forward to an exciting program from my long lost friend, Victoria Elrich. So thank you, Commissioner, for coming back to West Kentucky. She does a great job. Look forward to hearing what she has to share with us. It's a busy week for DLG and the governor's office. As many of you all know, we're getting ready to kick off the governor's local issues conference in about 48 hours. So look forward to seeing many of you all in Louisville. I know we have several of our judges and mayors and staff and board members attending the conference. Over 700 folks are registered this year, making it a record-breaking conference. So thank you all for being a big, important part of that. Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman will be kicking off the session on Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Secretary Jim Gray will be speaking around then as well. And then the governor will be speaking Thursday during the lunch hour. Did want to remind you all to mark your calendars for the Delta Regional Authority session as well. The folks from DRA will be coming up to the conference on Thursday. So that will be at 3 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. Hope you all can attend that one to get some face time with the DRA. As we know, they're a very important funding partner for us in all of West Kentucky and the Pennyroyal region. The governor's been busy and he's been on the road quite a bit throughout West Kentucky and the Pennyroyal. On July 21st, Judge, he had several award announcements for Trigg County. It was a great day. Thank you for being there and all of our friends from Trigg County. The week before last, the governor was here in Hopkinsville for the ceremonial groundbreaking of Interstate 169 to upgrade the Pennyroyal Parkway, which I know has been a long time coming. So many of you all in the room have been working towards that and advocating for it. And we know it's an important project, not for just Hopkins and Christian County, but the entire region as a whole. So the governor was proud to be a part of that. And my colleague, Martha Jane King, wanted to let everyone know the governor enjoyed his visit this past Friday to Muhlenberg County, visiting Central City and Greenville. Unfortunately, Martha Jane's husband is still battling some health issues, so she couldn't be here with us today, but please keep her and her husband in your thoughts and prayers. And with that, we look forward to seeing many of you all this week at the conference in Louisville. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Next, with our staff reports, we have Amy Froh with Community and Economic Development.
You all would please refer to your packets behind the preliminary information. There should be a resolution. As you all, we have talked about, PeADD has been awarded a grant from the Federal Highway Administration to develop a regional safety action plan for transportation improvements within our region. Again, the overall goal of this project is to document crashes and hazards on our critical roadways and then identify low-cost safety treatments and prioritize those projects to be considered for funding. This resolution that you have in your packet authorizes the acceptance of that award. It outlines the match requirement, which is being provided by the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet on your all's behalf. And then it authorizes Jason as our executive director to enter into that award agreement and sign any other necessary documents associated with that project. So if you all have any questions, we can answer those. And if not, Madam Chair, we'll need a motion to approve that.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. You're right.
Tim, if you would hit the next slide, please. Right behind that resolution are a couple of flyers from the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security. The first one that I want to bring to your attention is regarding the state and local cybersecurity grant program for this year. This grant program covers a variety of cybersecurity projects that our local governments might want to undertake. This includes developing or updating policies, procedures, and cyber incident response plans, hiring an IT or cybersecurity employee, conducting vulnerability assessments, replacing equipment that poses a cybersecurity risk, or implementing other cybersecurity best practices that can include purchasing backup mechanisms like the cloud, multi-factor authentication process, training for employees, or also transitioning to a .gov or a ky.gov email system. This grant program is a 20% matching reimbursement program with a 2-year or a 48-month period of performance on those grants. That application cycle opens tomorrow and runs for 30 days through September the 15th. Homeland Security will be holding virtual workshops in regard to this grant program starting today, actually. On the flyer, you can see a list of those dates and times for those workshops. I would encourage anyone that's interested in applying for these funds to attend one of those workshops. And we have staff available to help you all with completing that application as well. We have been in consultation between our IT staff, our management team, and Cornerstone. We are looking at putting together possibly a regional application to conduct some vulnerability assessments on behalf of our cities and counties, primarily with a focus on our smaller cities and those entities to see what improvement measures may be needed in those smaller cities and counties. The second flyer is a listing of cybersecurity tabletop exercises. We will be hosting one of those exercises here at the PeADD office on October the 3rd. These exercises are targeted at cities, counties, utilities, first responder agencies, and healthcare organizations, but it is not limited to those groups. So any of you all that wish to attend that tabletop exercise to see how you might address cybersecurity threats or issues within your organizations, please register for that using the QR code there on that flyer. You're right. Yeah, we're shunning you all to Barren River. We're tired of dealing with you all in Todd County. Yeah, we've been trying to annex Logan County into the pennyroyal for a while, so we just thought we'd send you all on over.
Coming from somebody that lives in Todd County, I mean, come on now.
Bad in their administration.
What's going on?
We don't have a good judge over there. Lastly, I just want to give you all some reminders. The Regional Transportation Committee meeting is scheduled for September the 12th at 10 o'clock here in this room. This is a very important meeting as you all will be assigning boost points to your transportation projects and boosting those for consideration in the shift ranking process. Again, we need a quorum to attend that meeting. So if you would put that on your calendars, we would appreciate that. On September the 6th, we will be having an energy resiliency stakeholder meeting in conjunction with Kentucky Emergency Management and the Energy and Environment Cabinet. Again, that meeting will be here in this room as well. And the purpose of this meeting is to identify critical facilities throughout our region and gather information about backup power needs that they might have, specifically generator projects that could be identified for those critical facilities. And then lastly, I sent out an email late last week to our judges regarding House Bill 9 and our interagency working group federal funding opportunities. Excuse me. We are continuing to learn more every day about House Bill 9 funding and the potential to match up these state dollars with federal funding opportunities. What we are looking for you all to do is to gather some information in consultation, judges, with your mayors, your water and wastewater systems, and other organizations within your all's counties to put together a list of your top 10, 15, 20 projects that you have in mind. So we can start looking at those and see what federal opportunities might exist for those projects. And then also to help build the case for our legislators to see what that funding need is out there and where that gap exists, so we can let them know that that funding is needed. And I will have to brag on Todd County. They are ahead of the game in that regard for that list.
Coming back in.
They've got a long list too. Along those same lines, we are also seeing a push with our federal partners to include those projects or see the alignment with our SEDS planning process. So we will be taking those lists of projects and including them into our SEDS document for this year's update. And you all should see a draft of that document coming out for your review in the very near future. As always, feel free to reach out to our staff if you have any questions or projects you need help with. If I don't have any questions, that's all I have.
Thanks, Amy. Next, with our area agency on aging and independent living, we have Miss Jill Collins.
Good afternoon. First thing I'm going to touch on today is our Kentucky Caregiver Program. If you remember back last month when we were talking about our work plan for the year, I had included the revamping of our Kentucky Caregiver Program, which is specific to grandparents raising grandchildren. It's a program that we operated for several years, and it kind of got put on the back burner with some budget cuts for a little bit, but that program has been refunded this year, and there's even been an announcement made through the governor's office regarding the Kentucky Caregiver Program. And so this program is designed to assist grandparents who are raising grandchildren. Referrals can be made to us through our Aging and Disability Resource Center. You can see the number there that they can call to make a referral. Just to give you some ideas on eligibility, there's no minimum age for the grandparent. We can serve grandparents of any age. The grandchildren must be 18 years of age or younger. The grandparent should be the primary caregiver. Neither birth parent can be living in the home with the grandchild. They cannot be receiving kinship care, but they can be receiving the KTAP benefits, and we have a process that we go through to verify and confirm that. And the grandparent is eligible to receive up to $500 per grandchild. Some of the things that we've been able to assist with include clothing, back to school supplies. We've even bought some beds and some bedding, things of that nature. So it can be somewhat flexible in how we utilize those dollars to assist the grandparent in taking care of that grandchild. We have hired a new part-time staff member to coordinate that program, and she will be starting with our agency on August the 21st. So we're very excited to have this program back and thankful for the funding that has been made available for this program. It is much needed in our area. We have a lot of partnerships going on right now with AARP and Red Cross in all 9 of our counties, and some of those events have already started. The Red Cross and AARP Kentucky are going into the senior centers and providing training and updates on disaster preparedness, which has been very important considering all the tornadoes and storms and recovery that we've been through. Red Cross is fortunate in that they have been able to provide weather radios to all participants in the counties that were directly impacted by the tornado. So that has given us a good turnout in those counties. And then in all the counties, the Red Cross is also offering a method that individuals can sign up to receive a smoke detector to be installed in their home, which has been very beneficial as well. So if you're interested in the dates in your county, they're listed here. And the presentations have also included the local emergency management director in many cases. And so those participants have received good information and the weather radios to take home with them. At this time, I would like to introduce some new staff. We are continuing to add to our staff within the Area Agency on Aging. We have hired Leanna Gilkey. She's standing in the back. Leanna is from here in Christian County, and she's a new case manager for our home and community-based waiver program. You can look in your newsletter that's in your packet to read a little bit more about Leanna and her background and what she's been doing. And so Leanna, welcome, and thank you for being here today. Our next staff member that I would like to introduce is Sylvia Chase. Sylvia's over here. Sylvia is from Hopkins County, and she's a case manager with our home care and our Title III programs. And so Sylvia, thank you for being here today as well. You can also look in our newsletter to read a little bit more about Sylvia and her background today as well. So if you have any questions about our Kentucky Caregiver Program or any of the other information that I've spoken about, I'll be happy to answer those questions for you after the meeting. And look forward a little later on to hearing from our commissioner, Victoria Elridge with the Department for Aging and Independent Living. They're a great partner with us, and I look forward to hearing from you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. And next we have Ms. Sheila Clark with our West Kentucky Workforce Board.
I was concerned you couldn't see me with the microphone up. In your package, you'll see several pages with ongoing information from the workforce for you. You'll see our normal data that we have in your packets every month. But I wanted to draw your attention to meetings and events that we have coming up in August. On Wednesday, August the 23rd, here at the PeADD office, we're looking at 2 meetings that day, starting out at 10 o'clock, our workforce board meeting. And we'll be having our normal meeting there. And then at 1 o'clock, following it and lunch, we'll be having a special area plan discussion meeting. And that discussion has been brought about by the Kentucky Workforce Innovation Board staff traveling out to the different areas of the state. They'll lead that meeting, and they will also talk to the participants in the meeting about their ideas and input as far as what's needed for the economy to move forward, our workforce, anything regarding some of the questions that you see there on the next page. You'll see this is the first page, the design, and then the questions are right after that, if you'd like to look at those questions. We also have a page on our website that talks about the meeting and event that afternoon. The state staff will break the group into 3 areas for discussion, and they'll lead that discussion, and then they'll take back ideas. And from your ideas that you would give on that day, all of you all are invited. We'll be putting together a local plan that would have some revisions with those ideas. And then we have a regional plan, and that would also be modified with any ideas. And then the state plan would be coming from those 2 plans. What's said that day after a period of time would be included, and then the state plan would be put out for public comment. So you'd have a period to look through the whole plan along with any comments that were given on the 23rd and make some changes to it or add something to it at that time. Are there any questions? Would really like to have you. I know a few of you, Arthur, and a few others have already told us that you'll be here. And if you haven't, then please let us know. Judge and Teresa, we have you on the list too. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sheila. And next we have our monthly code of ethics report, which we have no issues to report. So that leads us to our guest speaker. Please welcome Commissioner Victoria Eldridge with the Department for Aging and Independent Living. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you all for being here. Jason warned me about the mic. I have 4 kids, 2 of which play middle school basketball in Scott County at home. So I told him I will use my mama basketball voice if I need to. I know there's some basketball fans here and y'all know what I'm talking about. Thank you. Thank you, Jason and Jill, for inviting me out here. It's an honor to be with you all at the meeting. I've attended the past 2 annual board meetings, the great events that you all have. And it's so much fun to come to a much more intimate side and kind of see how y'all dress more casually. I know the annual meeting, we all get to dress up real fancy and nice. So it's good to see. And it's also so good to see all the Penny Ryle staff here. If you work on the aging, the area aging and independent living side, will you all please stand up? Thank you. The reason I asked them to stand today is because the work that goes on in Penny Ryle to support older adults and individuals with disabilities in this region is insurmountable. They do a phenomenal job in ensuring that individuals can stay where they want to be. The one thing that the Department for Aging and Independent Living knows is that when you have choice, you are empowered. You have a choice through the programs here to stay at home if you want to, or if you want to go into a long-term care facility. I don't know about y'all, but we have some people who are like, I love my family, but I'd much rather go to a long-term care facility because I can't stand living with my family. There's other people who want to stay at home because that's where home is. And it may be their 50-acre farm that they've had in their family for 3 generations. But it's because of the programs here in Pennyroyal that you all support that happens. To that, at the department, at the state level, we have done unprecedented work, but it could not happen without the local support here. Some of you all have county breakdowns as far as the work that goes on across the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. You will see the number of state employees that reside in your county, the number of meals that were served locally in your county. And I will let you know, this is from fiscal year 22. We are in process of updating our numbers for fiscal year 23, and we'll get those out to you once they're available. This information is available to all of your state legislators as well. That way they can make informed decisions when it comes to our budgetary time. That way they know what is the fiscal impact. One thing the governor did in his current budget, or his budget that we're going through now, is he added $14 million to support older adults to ensure that they are able to continue to receive meals. Prior to the pandemic, we had about 2,500 older adults that were on a wait list for food. Think about how demoralizing and demeaning that is, to be on a wait list for food. Some of these individuals were veterans who had served our country, or were teachers or state employees, and having to wait for food. So when the pandemic hit and we had to make the very tough decision to close our senior centers, the governor committed and has stayed true to that any person age 60 or older who wants a meal can get a meal. And through that, through the House budget, they also added in that same amount of appropriation. So to that, what I can share with you today is in fiscal year 23, over 3.2 million meals were served this last fiscal year, which is phenomenal. It's 1.2 million more meals than what was served the previous year. That is huge. I'm sorry, 1.2 million more meals prior to COVID. So what we know is that when we take care of our own neighbor to neighbor, we thrive together. In addition to ensuring that older adults are able to receive their meals, as Jill alluded to, we have reinstated the Kentucky Caregiver Program. What it is we know that the opioid epidemic has really asked grandparents a lot. They've had to step up and become parents again because of the opioid epidemic. And we are so grateful that those grandparents said yes to becoming a parent again, instead of that child having to go into the foster care system. So to that, we are able to move some of those funds to support that program and reinstate that prior to the budget cuts that happened in 2017. And again, thank you. That's another example of economic development, of adding on another staff person to support our own families here. One thing that I want to share with you as well is that at the beginning of this month, the Department for Aging and Independent Living has its first ever Veterans, Families, and Caregivers Support Coordinator. What we recognize is that many of our veterans are served all across the state. And I know there are many veterans that are here in this region that you all serve. Raise your hand if you're a veteran. Thank you all. Thank you. What we know is that as great as what the VA is, it does not meet everyone's needs. And so with our veterans coordinator, his name is John Miles. He comes to us. He did Veterans Coordinator Services in Louisville. He is a retired veteran of 22 years. He will be looking at what our department does and the services it offers older adults, and how, where the VA isn't able to step up and fill those holes, that the cabinet is able to step up and meet those demands, not only for the veterans, but for their caregivers. Because for the veterans in the rooms, you know, you are only as strong as the caregiver that's standing next to you, not behind you, not in front of you, but next to you. So we are here to ensure that our veterans receive those same services and are afforded that same opportunity. The other thing I wanted to share with you is we have our new Office of Dementia Services. It isn't even 2 years old yet. The legislation that was started by Senator Alvarado, who was here at the time. And we are so grateful for his support with this legislation. Because of that, Kentucky can finally announce we received a $5 million grant. I'm sorry, a $2 million grant to support individuals with dementia over the next 5 years. This is a phenomenal opportunity. There is not a budget line to support the Office of Dementia Services. It is solely grant funded. But we know that there are individuals with dementia that are in our communities day in and day out, and they need all of the caregiver supports to stay in their home. So our Office of Dementia Services is supporting all individuals. By 2025, there will be 86,000 Kentuckians with dementia. 86,000. And we owe it to them day in and day out to support each and every one of those. Some of those may be veterans. What we do know is that many of our veterans have traumatic brain injuries, and that is the precursor to developing dementia. We will be here to support them. The last thing that I wanted to share with you all is a new program that's going to be coming to Western Kentucky soon, and it is called PACE. Has anyone heard of PACE? And I asked that. There's like 10 different state and federal government acronyms that use PACE. So it's Program for All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. What it does is it, again, gives aging individuals another opportunity to stay at home. It supports individuals that are either Medicaid or Medicare eligible, or you can private pay, but it allows them to age in place in their home and receive those wraparound support services. So PACE statewide just launched in Lexington a year ago this August. There are a little over 100 individuals that are being supported through 4 different PACE sites now. And our team is in the works working with the provider that's going to be coming to this area to get them set up. Again, what we know is that when individuals have choice, they are empowered to make the decision that is right for them and their family. And these choices would not be possible without you all at the board steering this region. So with that, Jason, if it's okay, wanted to open the room up for if there's any questions that anyone would like to ask. If not, I know I'm looking around the room, y'all, those mashed potatoes were great, and the rolls, and it's the afternoon and it's sunny out. So any questions or comments? Yes.
I had an opportunity to speak with John Miles on Friday on a conference call about his new position with the Veterans Coordination. So we're very excited about a possible partnership and to see where he could take this program for our veterans. You know, we have a very robust veterans program.
Yes.
We have for quite some time, so we're very excited that it's gonna ramp up services for veterans across the state.
Thank you, Jill. He's really excited to get to this area. So thank you for that. Jason, did you pay them not to ask any questions?
Listen,
I've been to a lot of ad board meetings, and this is the first one that there have not been any questions asked.
they're usually not this quiet.
Okay.
So I know that a new program that we have rolling out is the suicide prevention.
Yes, 988.
Would you mind to speak on that just a little bit? I was really surprised at the numbers.
So I can speak on it as briefly as what I can. I have to say, does everyone know what 988 is? Okay, I see head nods. Okay, so everyone knows 911, right? 911 is essentially you make the phone call. I think of it more as, physical, immediate danger. What we've known, especially for a long time, but especially through COVID, is that our physical health is just as important as our mental health, if not more so. And so 988 is that emergency hotline you can call if you are experiencing a mental health crisis. Through COVID, I know we have all gone through some type of emotional crisis, the ups, the downs. through that. So 988 is a phone number that you can call, and it goes to an individual that is trained to do emergency on-site response. To that, the cabinet is also looking at how can we expand that and make sure that when people show up, they show up with case managers that are there to provide that support. If someone's in emotional crisis, sometimes they don't need the police to show up. It's a matter of they've experienced something traumatic or they are escalating and they need someone who can talk them down and determine what's the best approach. So that's what 988 is for. In addition to, the cabinet is pursuing some other federal grant opportunities within that. So
Thank
Jason,
you.
does that
Yep,
help?
it does. Thank you.
So put 988 in your phone. You never know. And sharing that number, tell your friends, tell your family. Everyone knows, again, 911, especially to our youth. Our youth have gone through so much. And it's just knowing that they have a number that they can call. It's completely confidential and they have someone that they can talk to. And to our seniors. We've seen some statistics regarding mental health for seniors, and it's very alarming. We are working on and received a $1.75 million grant to address mental health in older adults through home delivered meals. I'll end on this, and it's 3 simple words. Are you okay? Ask your neighbors, ask your friends. That's something that we do at the department. We do a 2-word check-in to see how someone's doing. Because, you can be on the screen in the Hollywood Square and you think, everyone's doing okay. But come to find out, when we say use 2 words to describe what you're feeling, and they're going to say just really down and I'm struggling. So it's knowing, just because you're at work, it could be your washing machine just emptied out into your floor and your dog just threw up and everything's going crazy. Has anyone had that happen? Like just, or a personal example, my 3-year-old decided to play on a swing set over the weekend and severely sprained his thumb. My 3-year-old, my 5-year-old. Yeah. So, and it's, life never happens 9 to 5, right? So just make sure you ask one another, are you okay? That's all. So thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ready?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Commissioner, for being with us. And I'll just echo what Jill said with the partnership that we have with the commissioner and all of her staff in Frankfurt. Her door is always open. She always answers my phone calls and text messages, no matter what time it is. And I very much appreciate that. And I'll also say this, after the tornadoes last year, she was one of my first phone calls that came to me. She was calling to check on the region and check to see how our staff were doing and how our folks were here. So appreciate that, Commissioner. In your packet, I just have a couple of things. In your packet, you will see an invite to Pride of the Pennyroyal. Most of you all probably know that Pride of the Pennyroyal is our industry appreciation event. I think, Melissa, this is either our 35th or 36th annual Pride of the Pennyroyal. We are using our economic development folks like Amanda across the region to get this information out to our businesses and industry. But I also want to open up that invitation to any of our board members that would like to attend the event that day. You will see our itinerary followed by a sign-up sheet for that. So we typically have anywhere from 30 to 40 of our industry represented across the region at that event. So I know that you all appreciate the industry, the businesses and industry that are in your communities. And if you are looking for an opportunity to come out and show your appreciation to them, this is one of those events. So you will see the registration form. You can do that on our website as well, or contact myself or Melissa. Local elected officials, you should have received an invite from me to attend a luncheon that will take place here in this room on August the 22nd. That's at 11:30 a.m. here in this room. Now, this will be an opportunity to learn more about You Decide Kentucky. Is everybody familiar with You Decide Kentucky? I see a lot of heads shaking. Well, that's good. This is going to be a great time to learn more about You Decide Kentucky, what their mission is, and also about various types of revenue options for local governments. So you should have seen the RSVP information for me to contact Carter Hendricks over at the Southwest Kentucky Economic Development Corporation. So if there's any questions on that, you can also contact me as well. Amanda, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but I am going to call on you just for a minute. Last week, the Cabinet for Economic Development, in partnership with PeADD, and by the way, we are about to have here in our region the chair of PeADD, Miss Amanda Davenport. I think she starts that in October, if I'm correct. So that's great for our region to be the chair of that organization. But Amanda, I don't want to say anything wrong, so I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you mind just to briefly mention that survey? I'm going to be sending that out to all of our board members this week.
Along with PeADD, thank you so much, is sending out a survey basically to ask stakeholders across Kentucky about their involvement of economic development across the state and what can be done better and what is being done well. So it's a real quick survey that'll take about 10 minutes. Please share it. Please take it. The more information we have, the more it helps. And then the cabinet is undertaking let's see, we should be wrapped up in November. We started this process back in May, and we've met every week, multiple times a week, kind of getting everything organized so that it can be a really effective 5-year plan to better economic development and make us a more competitive state, especially to some of our neighbors, on how we can attract projects that fit all the communities, not just really big projects or not just projects in central Kentucky. Any questions? Thank you, Jason. Thanks for putting me on the spot. I always appreciate that.
Good job. I knew you could handle it. Thank you, Amanda. And we'll get that survey out to you very soon. Also in your packet, you'll see information about the NATO conference coming up. You should have seen several emails from either myself or Melissa. If you are interested in attending that, we need to know by today, if at all possible. The flights as it stands right now are very, very well priced. And so we want to make those travel arrangements as quickly as possible. In conclusion, I do want to welcome a new board member, Mr. Brad Hunter. Brad from Livingston County. Brad, I believe you're a magistrate there in Livingston County. So welcome to the board, and look forward to working with you. Thanks for being here. Madam Chair, that's all I have. As already been said, we'll see probably many of you all in Louisville for the Local Issues Conference. Safe travels, and we'll see you there.
Does anyone else have any other business to bring before the board? No? Okay. If we can get a motion to adjourn in a second. All right. All in favor can leave. Thank you.